Evening all, and welcome to episode 99 of Kerbalism. Today's the day where we are going to launch our vessels to Duna in preparation for our triumphant landing in episode 100. We are, however, starting off here on Minmus. The reason I was having so much problems with the drills in the last episode was because Kerbalism changes them, and I forgot about it. It changed them to be more in line with its current fuel system, and that's not what we want, so I've reverted them back to their default settings, and they're now mining away quite happily. But there is a small problem. The main problem being they overheat. Our nuclear reactor causes more heat than our radiators can deal with the drills, and it causes an issue and everything gives up. So that's why we have this craft here with some solar panels on it to compensate for that. The other issue to it as well is that Kerbalism doesn't apparently work with these small nuclear reactors. It doesn't recognise them as a power generation source, so when you're not here and you tell it to turn the converter on when the electricity goes low, the electricity just runs out, so it doesn't work. I would have to sit here all the time watching the drills mine in order to get them to work, so I decided instead what I'm going to do is bring this over, put some solar panels and a large battery on it. Hopefully that'll last longer and we'll be able to get some fuel whilst other things are going on. And now we are settled here quite comfortably on the surface, it's time we use something a bit different. I'm going to use the transelectron, something I pointed out a few episodes ago, and if what I've read about this is correct, you can tell it to keep your current vertical speed, which essentially can make crafts hover. So we will detach this from here, and then tell it to keep vertical, and hopefully, if I set this to surface mode, you'll see it's puffing the engines and we are staying in hover mode. I am going to retract the solar panels because I don't want to smash them off. So, what we need to do is go over to here and dock on that little docking port up there, but we're too far away for the minute. However, that's not a problem because we can enable our RCS, and using these little puff engines we have here, we can push ourselves in the correct direction. And just like one of those weird probe things from Star Wars, we can hover across the surface and get to where we need to go. And we got 32 minutes worth of fuel, so I think we're all good. So a little hover trick over here, and we just need to basically reattach this. As I said, if I was to open this up here, and I'll undock this one because I don't want to destroy the other reactor. Yeah, you can see obviously we've got our radiators going and our reactor is running. If we deploy these two drills, and then start them running, you'll see they get up to temperature, and when they get up to about the 500k mark, our reactor starts overheating. If I drop it right down to like 10%, it just overheats, and it's because these radiators aren't strong enough to keep the reactor cool. So obviously this whole system basically just runs out of power, overheats, shuts down, runs out of power, everything goes wrong. The solar panels will fix that, but obviously adding a lot more battery storage and system to it. I did think about bringing a pod with radiators on it, but in my testing I never got it working properly where the heat would transfer through a docking port, and I'm not sure why. I don't understand it. I also had weird issues where these radiators, these radiators, because I did bring a few here, were, when you time warp, they don't work, or those ones don't, one of the two. Well, they're the stock ones and these are the add-on ones from the near future, but I can't remember which one, but either one of those two just didn't work when you time warped. They just started cooling down, the other radiators got hot, so I don't really understand that, to be honest with you. So Yeah, so let's go up to the right height, shall we? And I think once we're high enough, that should do it, hopefully. Yeah, that's good to me. Right, we will then have to travel over towards that there, which is a little easier said than done because I'm still a bit confused as to what does what. So that does that, so that goes that way, and then that does that one. Okay, so we will hover over nice and gently and plonk ourselves on top of there. And there we are, docked together. I did play with this a little bit on Kerbin using the cheat menu to change the gravity for Minmus, so I do kind of know what I was doing there. But that is really, really good. I've not tried the other keep orbit or keep surface. I've already done the keep vertical, so I don't really know how that works. But nonetheless, I am quite impressed with that and quite happy that it does what it does. So let's extend our radiators here, and also our solar panels, which I should have probably put on an action group, would have made life easier, but oh well. There we go. See, they're heating up already, and I don't know where it's getting the heat from. I will eventually unlock heat exchangers. Maybe they'll do something. I don't really know. But for the minute, let's try this again. Start the reactor, start the thing, and that works. Start that one. One heats up, and nope, our temperature still raises. So even though we've got these 4 brand new radiators, they're just not doing anything. So I don't get that. I don't understand it. But I can apparently have 1 going now, which is better than I had before, because before 1 was just doing it. So maybe I'm just under calculating these radiators. Maybe they're just not producing as much cooling as I expected. That could be it. It could be that I just don't have enough radiators and I'm misreading the numbers. But anyway, that doesn't really matter for the minute. I want to. Well, there you go. Our batteries are fully charged. Let's turn that off so we can cool right down. And yeah, as I said, I think I want this set up so that the reactor comes on when power drops low, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't work. So it's a bit weird, that one. But we can start that one going as well, and our solar panels are enough to keep that all running. So hopefully we'll be able to get a bit more on here. All the ore was transferred to this one, so yeah, we can mine that, we can keep going. It is ticking up a bit faster than it did before. So we get 0.01, is it? 0.1 every second, which that should be ticking up a lot quicker than that. We're getting 0.01 every second by the looks of it. So I don't understand how it works. All I know is that it is working, we're getting ore. So whilst that's doing that and fills its wonderful ore containers, hopefully it will continue to fill its ore containers when we go back to the Space Center. Right, so a quick trip to the Space Center to fast forward time till day, at least on Kerbin, and yes, we now have 50 ore. Excellent. That does work whilst you're not here. It must have been before that it was just a factor that that reactor isn't recognised by Kerbalism. I really hope the other reactors are recognised, because otherwise that's going to make going over to Duna a problem. Maybe I'll have to use a big reactor instead. But before Duna, we have Dres to go and encounter. And our Dres window has finally arrived, so we launch our scanner into Kerbal orbit, ready for its transfer burn. Now, this has got the standard set of science experiments on it, nothing that we're going to return because this probe's going to go out there and just stay there basically. It's also got 4 communication satellites to set up a relay around Dres. I don't know why I went with 4 and not 3, but I did when I was building it for some reason, so we're going with 4. And here we are in orbit. Our Dres window is apparently 2 hours away, so any time now really. I did get up here using a lot less fuel than I expected. I've got this whole stage here which is like burned a little tiny bit, but I'm gonna actually ditch that stage. It seemed like a bit of a waste, but I am gonna ditch it because I've got the nuclear engine here with some liquid fuel, and I've figured out how much it's going to take to get there and done it all on there, and I don't know whether that's going to have enough or if I'll have to change halfway through, and if I do, the nuclear engine isn't as powerful as those engines and it would complicate matters, so I'm going to dump that one. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to retract my solar panels because I can see me smashing them off quite easily, and then I'm going to fire up the engines very gently, spin radial, detach, and then try and point prograde without crashing into anything. Now I made that spin, that's what I didn't want to do. Well, I don't know whether that's going to deorbit itself now or not, but probably not. It's probably just going to completely spin out of control and be mad, but usually if you point retrograde and fire the engine gently then detach, if you can get around it without touching it, then it will deorbit itself. That I think is just going to spin around and become debris, so oh well, but at least it will burn all its fuel off, I guess. Anyway, to get to Dres, we want to fire on the dark side of the planet, I think, so here somewhere. And we want to leave Kerbin's sphere of influence. And there is Dres, and fire up all the way, and it should be there somewhere. Boom. It's not. Oh, Dres is on a really weird inclination. Oh, okay. However, I do think we will cross its sphere of influence, but it's going to be a long way away by the time we get there. That's weird. Dres would be there. Why? Why would it not be up there? That is very odd. Let's move this that way a bit. Yeah, let's fire along our orbit. Like that, there we go. And see what that does. No, it's the same. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm confused. Our window is apparently here, so I know what, let's ask MacJeb. MacJeb. Maneuver planner. Oh, okay. Reset that because I don't know what that's on. Lowest delta V will be in 1 year. What? What about now? Oh, an extra 20 kilometers a second of delta V required. Create that node. Okay, so we just got to burn a bit longer. We've got to go higher. That's where I was doing it wrong. Was I in the same place? Let's have a look, see. I was pretty close. Okay, well, we've definitely got that. We've got 2,423 meters a second. So that's good. That's just going to spin round like a nutter. And even if I time warp to stop that spinning, it wouldn't help because it would cut the engine out on it. So I'm just going to let that go and whatever. Yeah, we will have to point to our node. It's a 17-minute burn. That means we're going to have to fire... Oh, I do hope we're not going to crash into the planet. Right, we're there. Provided we can get past our periaps, I think we'll be alright. Anyway, one thing I have noticed about the rendezvous planner with MechJeb is that it recommends, if I go rendezvous planner, it's got to be in the same field, but it recommends that you should align the planes and then set an orbit at 200k, then fire to get to your target. So I guess it does that so you're not so close to the orbit that it goes terribly wrong. But well, who knows? Let's bring the moving planner back up again, shall we? And change that back to circularize, and we will tell it to execute this node, and we'll go off to Dres. And after a much longer burn than expected, because I had to break it up into two pieces, we would encounter Dres in 2 years and 30 days. So that's a long trip. We have got a small manoeuvre to do there in 330 days, but yeah, so enjoy the trip, Scanner. It's going to be an awfully long one. So let's point you up at the sun, shall we? Normally up. Oh, turn the RCS back off. I think that should be it. Yes, there we go. Okay. Where is Kerbal? Oh, Kerbal down there. So yeah, okay, cool. That's going to go off, and hopefully nothing's going to go wrong on it. It is going to spend 2 years in space, and I don't know whether I've put everything up to being high quality on it, but well, we'll find out as we go, I suppose. Nope, no new chance to do there. So yeah, okay. Dres is on its way. Let's build our colony ship to go to Duna. And whilst our engineers are finalising the design and constructing the colony ship, I thought it was a good idea to launch a vessel to Duna ahead of time with a communications grid in it, because we don't have any communication pods around Duna at the moment. This is exactly the same as the Dres scanner, including the scanner itself, which I know we've scanned the surface of Duna, but I don't think we've done all the experiments, so this will give us a bit of help there. I've also launched our miner from Minmus up to orbit so we can start refining some fuel, because then we can use that to get to Duna, hopefully, although I think I may have messed up the time on that because it takes a long time to get back from Minmus, and I don't want to miss the window. And with the Duna scanner up in orbit, we deploy the engine and let MechJeb plot a course for us. I put this in a much higher orbit than what I did previously, because last time I had to split the burn up into two parts because otherwise we would have re-entered the atmosphere. So this time I put it up at 250, and hopefully we can fire once and not have a problem. I do have to watch this like a hawk though, because I've still got that issue where a node that's executed by MechJeb, that's programmed by and executed by MechJeb, sometimes resets itself halfway through the burn. So you plot like say a 400 meter a second burn, it'd burn about 200 meters of it and then reset back to 400 and then burn an additional 400, which obviously gives you a 600 meter second burn, and you'd overshoot your target and go mad. So got to be really careful and watch these, because I don't know if it's an issue with MechJeb. It doesn't always do it. I don't know whether it's switching between the map and back again, or changing the MechJeb windows, whatever. I don't know what does it, but it's certainly there, and it's caught me out more than once. And with that burn completed successfully, all I have to do is set another manoeuvre to fine-tune our close approach. And there we have it. Get MechJeb to plot the course and then just fine-tune it to make it a bit better. 768,000 kilometers, 1,000 meters away, so that'll be pretty good. And I think we're going the correct way around Duna. Not that really matters, but it just makes life a lot easier. Sending the infrastructure over to Duna requires some very large and very expensive launches. This is a 3,266 ton refinery. Obviously not refinery, that includes all the fuel and everything through. But yeah, this is going to go off to Duna again ahead of time and hopefully land on the surface before our Kerbals get there. Although I might leave it in orbit and send it down with Kerbals so they can get there as well. But it's designed for fuel production and rocket part production, so we can build stuff on the surface of Mars. Duna, sorry. The idea being that, like I did with Minmus, I want to send a ship down there, build some infrastructure first, and then send my Kerbals down afterwards. Although the original plans that I kind of have, and I think I'm going to go with now because I don't want to change it up again, I don't actually have a lander on my colony ship, so I'm going to have to build one on the surface and send it up. But yeah, that's going to be fine. There's plenty of food, so it'll be good. But yeah, this thing, the launch stage for it has 352 parachutes across the 4 large boosters and centre core. So I'm recovering most of it, and hopefully I will get most of that 3.5 million back. But it's still very big, very large, very cumbersome, and well, impressive. And here we are in orbit, so let's deploy our fairing, get rid of that, and as you can see here, we have 3 craft, really. Aim the camera up here. We've got the little tug on the front, we've got exactly the same, actually no, it's not the same refinery, it's got some adjustments. It's got the drills in the legs, using the Mark II mining extension mod there. We've also got a refinery on top, so this can produce the fuel. And then we have down here a pod for creating rocket parts. It's got a smeltery, which I didn't need because the ISRU can make metal, but that just makes sense to me. And then a workshop to produce the rocket parts. And this is split between metal and rocket parts evenly, so we can do that. It also has little docking ports on the legs, so hopefully we can build things from then. I just really hope they're not upside down, or that's going to complicate matters. But well, we can figure that out anyway when we get there. But yeah, so that can deploy things like hopefully a rover or something, which I think might be the first thing I build, a rover with its own docking port, and then I can place it where I want to do, build stuff in situ, and the rover can just go plonk it there. So that's the idea. So yeah, the only thing I didn't bring was a winch, which probably would be helpful. But we need to get rid of this stage down here, and I do want to recover it. So I am going to shut down 2 of the engines, and I'm going to drop these thrusts down to about 10%. 11.5, that's good enough. Everyone did the same. Do 11.5, there we go. Because we're going to fire very, very gently. And I want to be turning radial in. Just a little tiny bit, so I've got a tiny bit of spin on the craft. Okay. And then we fire up those engines very, very gently. We then deploy and fire our engines and fire them up faster, like so, and I think we should be able to get away, and we can then change our orbit back and hopefully not crash into it. And it looks like we're going to miss it by quite a way, which is good. I have done this before on previous games where I've done that manoeuvre with a very large and slow craft and had the booster come back and smack me right in the side as I was turning around. So yeah, it's good that it's done that. I'm going to get back up to about 200, and then hopefully that will drop down to the atmosphere. I will switch to it and watch it come down, because I know as soon as it goes out of physics range, the engine stops firing on it, so it won't deorbit. And then we can take this unwieldy beast, which has managed to get to orbit on a full tank of fuel, which is surprising because that there with argon in it is enough to get us there. Yep, we were going electric with this, but yeah, so that was a little bit surprising, but I suppose we'll just use whatever's in that tank. Let's have a look. What have we got? We've got not a great deal, 600 meters a second, so yeah, maybe I'll just use that to push ourselves up a little bit, but yeah, I think overall this is quite surprising. So I'll watch that come back down, and I'll be back once we're ready to send this off to Duna. So after successfully recovering that stage and getting the money back for it, we need to plot a course to go to Duna. So I've got make chip up, we've done that. It's going to be 1,000 meters a second, which I can't do with these engines, obviously. But what I'm going to do is split it up into two parts. First one's going to be 674 meters a second. We've got 673 left on these engines, so that means we'll use all the engines up in one go. And then the next time we come around, we'll switch over to our argon engines, our little electric propulsion, and we will use that to get further along. I'm really not sure about the second maneuver. I don't know whether it's... let's undo that for a minute, and let's bring this one down to be 600. See whether it stays in our sphere of influence. I think it does. Yes, it does. Yes, there we go. Right. Okay. So get rid of those. Reset that. Oh. Target Duna. ASAP. It says we should launch in 34 days. So I have got about a month window to get to Duna, which is good because our refinery on Minmus isn't going to finish processing that fuel for a couple of days, and then to come back, I think is 9 days to get back to Kerbal. So yeah, that might be a bit sort of these will all go first and get there, and our colony ship will have to follow later, which is probably a good thing because, well, we don't want our Kerbals to be going first because there might be terrible things happening. But anyway, so ASAP. Create node. Split it up into 2, please. Okay, and what I'm going to do, there we go, couldn't see that first time, is I'm going to fire this node off first, and then I'm going to delete all the nodes and recreate it using the other engines, so the game knows how fast I should be firing. I am kind of thinking that this is, not that it's not going to work, but that it's going to have problems coming down because we're going to be on the dark side of the planet. And I don't have a nuclear reactor, and those engines require electricity. So yeah, this isn't really going to work all that well. I have got a nuclear reactor up there, I think. Open. Yes, I've got a nuclear there, and I have 2 solar panel radiators. So, but I don't think that's enough to run all of those engines down there. I don't know what they require electricity wise. I didn't think that through, if I'm honest with you. I did not think that electric engine through. I was just trying to vary the propulsion because I didn't want to use the same thing over and over. Bit of variety is good for everyone, but yeah, not worried about heating because I've got all these radiators that can cool me down. But well, we'll execute the next node. And I suppose take it from there and make it up as it goes. So it turns out that Kerbal Engineer doesn't recognise these engines at all. It does recognise the Delta V, that is going down extremely slowly. That was on 409, it's now 408. But it doesn't know how long we can fire for, so unless it's just because we can fire for ridiculous times. I mean, 5 hours was 500, so that would be 10 hours for 1,000, so that's 6.5 hours. No, 65 hours we could fire these engines for. Okay, that's probably why that's reading 0, because it's more than it can display. But yeah, but we are going but we're going very, very slowly. Anyway, that's going to have to wait until next episode for this one to finish off here, and we will build our colony ship and send that over, and episode 100 we will be on the surface of Duna. That's the idea. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope to see you next time, and until then, as always, have fun.